going to be starting in about a minute. Was that my cue, Mike? Okay, I think we're just coming into 9 o'clock, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to our meeting of Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. If I can call this meeting to order, Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Guindon, that the meeting of the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry be hereby called to order.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Guindon, seconded by Councillor Densham, that Council approve the agenda.
Thank you. Any omission comments on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest of nature thereof? Seeing none, moving on to adoption of our minutes. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Broad, that the minutes of the Council meeting, including the in-camera minutes of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry, held April 20th, 2026, be adopted as circulated.
Thank you. Any comments or misses on our previous minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. We do not have any delegations or any action requests, so moving on to item 7, tenders and quotations. Madam Clerk, once again.
It's moved by Councillor Fraser, seconded by Councillor Densham, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry accept the joint tender from Cornwall Gravel Company Limited for hot paving, mixing, and other related works at their unit prices totaling $4,598,469.86 plus net HST, and that the Director of Transportation Services be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to the contract.
Thank you, and good morning, Dana.
Good morning, Mr. Warden, members of council. The surface renewal overlay paving tender is a joint tender prepared and administered by the county for local municipalities. This year's program includes approximately 55 kilometers of paving that will correct crossfall issues, improve ride quality, reduce ongoing maintenance needs, and provide additional strength to the existing road structure. The township of Edwardsburg Cardinal was included in this year's tender due to the associated impacts with the Pittston Bridge rehabilitation work. With multiple contractors operating in the area and scheduled bridge closure, the county's worked with the township to coordinate construction, timing, and delivery. Including their work with this tender helps support communication between contractors, emergency services, and residents while reducing potential scheduling conflicts during construction. All participating municipalities confirm that the tender pricing aligns with their approved budget, and staff are recommending award.
I'll look at councils for any questions. Seeing none, so I guess we'll go. Sorry, you're jumping the gun. So all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, Dana. Moving on to the Avonmore Storm sewer lining. Welcome, Matt, or I'll get to Madam Clerk for the, sorry, that's just for comments, so go ahead. Good morning, Matt.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Guindon, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry accept the tender from Edge Sewer Services for storm sewer lining in the village of Avonmore for $397,935 plus net HST, and that the Director of Transportation Services be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to the contract.
Thank you. So now I'll give it over to Matt.
Good morning, Mr. Warden and members of council. The report before you today is regarding the tender award for the Avonmore Storm Sewer Lining Project located on SDG 15 within the village of Avonmore. Culvert lining and storm sewer lining have been regularly completed work with SDG for the better part of 20 years. This process sees us pull a brand new PVC liner through the existing storm sewer and inflate it to create a fully independent new pipe using the old pipe as a form. The other benefit to the process is that it is fairly non-invasive. We don't have to remove asphalt, sidewalks, entrances, etc. We can just use the existing manholes to access the storm sewer to complete the work. The existing storm sewer system was originally constructed in 1972 using corrugated steel pipe and is approximately 1.2 kilometers in length. Through ongoing asset management reviews and condition monitoring, the system has been identified as a priority for rehabilitation as it has reached the end of its useful service life. The lining process is expected to provide approximately 50 years of additional service life to the storm sewer. As you will see with the tender results, we received 3 submissions and are very happy with the pricing received on the project. Staff are recommending award to Edgewater Sewer Services to complete the work. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Just a one. So whereabouts on 15 is that in the village?
So it would outlet just on the south side of County Road 43, kind of the southeast corner of where 15 and 43 meet. So that would be the outlet, and then the main trunk of the system would basically run north-south up until the tracks on the north end of the village, and then we'd have a few laterals mixed in along the way.
And is there any disruption? I know it's a lining, but is there any disruption for that work to be completed?
No, the residents shouldn't. We have some notice letters prepared that we'll hand out to everyone in the village so they kind of know what's coming up. So they will see some trucks kind of parked within the village, but there shouldn't really be any service interruptions. Anyone with a sump pump that is tied into the line will receive a notice letter. We'll make contact with them and we'll make accommodations if we have to kind of bypass anybody's water during that time.
Good. Thank you. So seeing no further questions, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving to our last tender resolution in regards to diesel and gasoline supply tenders.
It's
Madam Clerk.
moved by Councillor Densham, seconded by Councillor Fraser, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry accept the joint tender for the supply and delivery of clear diesel, colored diesel, and unleaded gasoline for a 36-month term from June 1st, 2026 to May 31st, 2029 from McEwen Petroleum Incorporated at the stipulated daily rack rate for Ottawa per litre with a delivery credit plus applicable taxes, and that the Manager of Operations be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to the contract.
Thank you, and I will give it away to Trevor. Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Warden and Council. Yes, in front of you this morning, a report detailing our request to award a multi-year tender to McEwen Petroleum, along with our municipal partners included on this tender, South Stormont and South Glengarry Townships. This report also covers the rental of tanks for South Glengarry's facilities for the duration of the term. We've used this vendor previously and this model previously, and I believe it gives us good rates, good service, and don't have any concerns with awards. So we're looking for your approval to award the tender. I believe everything's in the report, but if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Looking for questions? Seeing none, we don't have an anxious. It must be a long weekend that just gone by. So with that said, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, Trevor. Moving on to bylaws, Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor McGillis, that bylaw number 5533, being a bylaw to appoint James Fothrop as Chief Administrative Officer, Deputy Clerk for the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry, effective June 1st, 2026, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. Any, for those of you that don't know, we do have Mr. Fothrop in the gallery. So is there any questions in regards to the reason? Seeing none. Maybe I'll apologize. I know everything about lacrosse, but I do not know your spouse's name. It's Kate. Nice to meet you, Kate. And welcome to today's council meeting. So with that said, go ahead, Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and through you. I'll just make a comment that you guys should be a little cautious here, taking Jamie on. You're going to get addicted. You're going to have a CEO that very similar to our last one that you're really pleased with and you don't want to lose. So anyway, no, South Glengarry's kind of sad to see him go, but wish Jamie all the best, and we're very thrilled to have him here at the county. So, and be kind of sad to see Maureen go, but anyway, we're in good hands.
Any other questions? Councillor McDonald.
Yes, I just wanted to say, welcome to the second best Fothrop CAO in all of SDG, so it's very nice to have you on board.
We knew that was coming, so. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, with that said, all in favor? Motion is carried. And I believe, Jamie, you're going to be staying with us through the, so we'll get a chance to thank you. Moving on to item 8.2, updated signing authority bylaw. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor McGillis, seconded by Councillor Guindon, that bylaw number 5534, being a bylaw for the purpose of designated signing authority, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to the personal policy manual update. Again, Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Densham, that bylaw number 5535, being a bylaw to adopt revised policy number 1-20, a comprehensive personnel policy manual, be read in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. With that, we have Kristen here to explain to us our report.
Through you, Mr. Warden, the following report recommends the approval of an updated personnel policy manual revision. This revision focuses on 6 areas. Those areas include the removal of the consumer price index parameters, aligning our compensatory time off and overtime with the operational and legislative requirements, inclusion of Remembrance Day and our staff public holidays, inclusion of vision care for employee dependents, clarifying sick leave and short-term disability language, and the incorporation of several human resources policies into the appendix. All known budget implications have been accounted for in the 2026 budget. Thank you, Council, and I am available if you have any additional questions.
Perfect. I will look at Council. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
The only issue I would have would be the CPI parameters. I believe that was from North Dundas in response, and you did highlight that, and I very much appreciate how clear it was, so we could have this discussion. I believe North Dundas continues to have those. We adopted in South Glengarry after that. I believe North Stormont and perhaps South Dundas also did. So I'd like to see that stay. I do appreciate that it doesn't mean anything during regular times, but it's for the next high inflation time. So that would be the only change I would wish, is to keep those parameters in if I can get other members of council to do it. Otherwise, very well done, and I appreciate everything there.
Thank you. I'll look at Councillor Guindon.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you, I'm comfortable with Councillor McDonald's recommendation. If any year CPI is above 3%, this council has discretion at that time if it felt comfortable or necessary to do so to provide a one-time increase above the parameters. But I think the suggestion you have is good, because we have the discretionary power to go above it at any time, or below it above it, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Guindon. Going to Councillor Broad.
Thank you, Warden. Through you, echo the other two councillors' comments. But consideration to Kristen, and appreciate the report, and the future CEO who's here today. The difference when we think about CPI, from the lowest pay level to the highest pay level. So if the intention is for helping employees, staff with the purchase of milk, groceries, gas, property taxes. So the lowest level person gets significantly less than the highest level person, yet you're purchasing at the same store the same product. If there's an opportunity to think about pay grid and performance opportunities, I think that's a different conversation than a CPI, and I'd like to keep the CPI rule we have in place for now, as I think we've all adopted that across the lower counties, but willing to discuss those opportunities in performance and pay grid if that's the opportunity that is forthcoming.
Thank you. Any, Madam CEO, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So maybe I could just provide a few comments from my perspective. So I've been watching CPI with the Bank of Canada for my entire professional career. And the bank typically aims to have CPI inflation between, they like to see it around 2%, just under 2%, so like the 1.5–2% range. And then they adjust policy to kind of maintain those parameters. I do think that there's very little risk in going outside of the 1 to 3%. So if that's the direction of council today, that's absolutely acceptable. I do believe that CPI is a very well-defined mechanism for adjusting everybody's compensation, and everybody understands how that is going to affect their salaries on a go-forward basis. I do think that if by chance you kind of work outside of inflation, sometimes that starts to affect your pay grid a little bit. But I think what we've seen recently in the past year is like there's a little bit more competitiveness in our workforce. And so we do keep a close eye on the pay grid. And I believe that we are planning to do a market review of compensation across all of our positions within SDG. And I know Kristen and Kayla will also be working with the townships to share that information. So that's going to be ongoing. But kind of sticking with CPI tends to keep everybody, I think, in sync. And from a CAO perspective, I like it because it's very well defined. It's very explainable. But outside of that, if it's council's direction to maintain that 1 to 3, I think that's okay, because I think that's actually where inflation is going to be over the next several years. And I do agree that, you know, if something were to happen and inflation were to go beyond a 3%, by the same token, council could make a decision at that point in time to maybe adjust that increase as well. So those are just my underlying comments, but happy to take questions with Kristen.
I'll go to Councillor Densham and then back to Councillor Gainton.
Thank you, Madam CAO, for the commentary. That was very helpful. I think it creates the right context. And so I think what I'm hearing is that CPI tends to be a good base for looking at regular annual increases, et cetera. But I tend to agree with Councillor Gainton is that once we start to hit a limit, we're hitting an extreme, and leaving it capped at this point almost forces us to then have a discussion at that point in time. And I really think that is the right time to have those discussions on how do we adapt to that versus, opening up the limits. What I think that's going to do is it's going to make the conversations potentially more difficult. So I'd rather see us do the cap, recognize when we're hitting an extreme, and then at that point have a discussion at the council level to say how do we deal with the extreme? Do we relook at the salary, the compensation levels, et cetera? Do we do a one-time adjustment at that point in time? So I really like the way that council has positioned this, and I support keeping it the way it is at this point in time for those reasons.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Gainton.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you, just on another note with respect to a change in the personnel policy, I'm comfortable adding Remembrance Day, but I believe that's so staff can attend a ceremony. The way the policy reads, if that falls on a weekend, we get a day in lieu on the Friday or Monday. I don't think that's really appropriate. I think having that as a holidays to allow staff to attend ceremonies, not to take a vacation day. And same goes with National Truth and Reconciliation Day. Again, I think it's good to have that day off so staff can attend a ceremony. But if that day were to fall on a weekend, I don't believe we should give an a lieu day either before or after.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'll go to Councillor McDonald and then Councillor McDonald. I'll go Mr. MacDonald. Go ahead.
Okay. Wasn't sure which one. Well, now that you brought up Remembrance Day, looking at the policy that I guess North Glengarry is the only municipality that doesn't allow, but I will just reinforce that the Royal Canadian Legion is opposed to making it a holiday. What it does is, by not having it as a national holiday, allows kids to be in school and going to services on the day. We allow our staff to go, and we close up for 2 hours, allow our staff to go, and then we open up again. I will say that we allowed it probably about 10 years ago. We gave it as a holiday, and I did not see one member of our municipal staff there. So I always caution against giving it as a holiday. We should recognize that we have a couple hours to attend ceremonies, but a holiday just ends up becoming a holiday. And again, if we didn't have one of the biggest organizations in Canada, the Legion, stating that, then I would say, okay, maybe it's just my opinion, but it's not just my opinion. So, thank you.
Message noted. Councillor McDonald.
Just wanted to, and thank you through you, Mr. Warden, I had a newspaper clip given to me early on from Schlottenberg Township in the 1980s, whenever inflation was very high. So I do like the idea, as Councillor Gaindoe said, that when those high times come, we have that discussion, because I think in Schlottenberg Township, it was CPI at that time. It went up a significant amount, and then it was actually retracted after. And you do not want to do that with salaries, so I appreciate like the bounding, like your kind of, your logic there. And then there was a point kind of brought by Councillor Broad that I've always felt was a good one, is that your top end of the salary, say for organization, would be like $220,000. The bottom, I don't know, but we're always concerned with salary compression. But a bag of milk is a bag of milk, and I do think that we really need to think about the lower end of the pay scale increasing more than the higher. I don't mind compression happening a little bit. That's just a comment, but just to kind of support that logic of thinking of where we're giving the dollars, because $1,000 to one person means a little compared to $9,000 to another.
Going to Councillor Fraser and then Councillor Broad.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and I appreciate Councillor McDonald's comment about North Dundas, and thank you, because that was a hard decision that we made back then to put boundaries on that, and I do understand, and I appreciate Councillor Gaindoe's thought about, yeah, it's up to us. If we want to bring it forward, or if it's brought forward to us that we need to make alterations to a policy, that's the great thing about having thoughts we can consider. To the Remembrance Day comment and people using it as a day to, I'm not belittling what anyone does, but what's taking place in North Dundas, we do recognize it in that fashion. And to counter Councillor McDonald, I'm always impressed the number of people that I see, and I'm sure the Deputy Mayor has seen, appear at the Morewood celebration, staff members and families. Not all of our staff, mind you, but one of the thoughts about the day, and we did try a couple hours to do that for a little while. Excuse me. But considering the employees of SDG, if they want to go and celebrate Remembrance Day with their community, it's not right here in Cornwall where the celebration would take place. They would be venturing further away, and we had that feeling in North Dundas as well. Not everyone in that works at the Township of North Dundas lives in North Dundas. They travel, and the day off allows them to celebrate Remembrance Day with their families, and maybe some of their family members are veterans. And so that was one of the considerations, that the 2-hour window to travel an hour to their home may not be appropriate. So we moved the other way, and I feel quite comfortable that it's being recognized as an opportunity for them to celebrate, to recognize Remembrance Day, and to partake in any of those activities. And that's my thought on Remembrance Day. Thank you.
So I've got a bunch of questions coming. Before I go there, just so we're well aware, so there's always the opportunity to defer the motion, but there's also the motion can be read as amended. So I'm just saying there's lots more questions now coming. It's something that we would have to kind of give direction if we wanted an amended motion, or if it gets too kind of complicated, then we would look at the deferral. But I will go to Councillor Broad, back to Councillor Gaindoe, and then Councillor Bergeron. Go ahead, Councillor Broad.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. And just to follow up on Councillor MacDonald's comments on Remembrance Day, in South Dundas, we do recognize it. So obviously, Councillor Fraser's comments are true. We do not recognize National Truth and Reconciliation Day as a holiday in South Dundas. We have an event, a service, a ceremony. We invite many classes from the public school to attend, and we have a lot, if not most, of our staff and rec and parks and roads department come to that ceremony, and it's great that they're able to do that, and we do that to recognize that day. So both statements are true. And we do one, we recognize a vacation day for Remembrance Day, but we do not for the other. So I think that's just what we're doing in South Dundas. I wanted to comment on that.
Thank you. Going to Councillor Gaindoe.
Just to clarify my earlier point, I have no problem if Remembrance Day or National Truth and Reconciliation Day fall on a Monday through to Friday. I think the office should be closed on that day if it falls during a weekday. What I have a problem with is if Remembrance Day is Sunday the 11th, the way this policy reads, the council, the building will be closed on the following Monday, which is the 12th. There is no ceremony on the 12th. There's no reason for the office to be closed on that day. The way I would like the policy to read is for those two specific days, if they fall on a weekday, the office would be closed, so people in the office can attend a ceremony. However, if it falls on a weekend, there shouldn't be no day in lieu on the following workday or the Friday beforehand. It turns into a long weekend, and I don't think that's an appropriate way for the policy to read.
Thank you, Councillor Guédon. Going with Councillor Bergeron.
Thank you, Warden. And yes, I wanted to clarify that also in North Dundas, we do recognize Remembrance Day, but it is not in lieu in North Dundas. If it falls on the weekend, it falls on the weekend and it's not a holiday. And so I will agree to that. But as Councillor Guédon stated, I don't want it to be paid as a holiday if it falls on a weekend.
Thank you. Councillor McGillis.
Thank you very much. With respect to the Remembrance Day, I agree with Councillor MacDonnell, or McDonald. Which one would you like? Okay, the good McDonald. Okay, sorry. I agree with Councillor Guédon as well. I think we should, I think it's important that we do acknowledge our veterans and give our staff time to go to the ceremonies, if they go to the ceremonies. And I agree with what you said earlier. Not all of them attend. Maybe some never attend, but I think we should give them the opportunity to. So a couple hours in that timeline would be fine with me to even close the office for that amount of time. But for the weekend thing, what Councillor Guédon mentioned, I agree with what he's saying as well, for the extended, to make a long weekend for nothing.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Densham.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and thank you for allowing all of the comments. I guess the only other thing I was thinking, and the topic of Truth and Reconciliation Day came up, and so it made me wonder whether or not what we're looking at in terms of comparison is too narrow. We're looking at what the municipalities do for that one specific day, and I don't know how we compare on all the other ones. And so what this often can result in is that although it appears that we're trying to create a balance, I don't know whether some of the other municipalities have a specific number of holidays and they provide flexibility for staff to be able to pick and choose which days they want on or off. So without that information, that as well as another dynamic in this that I think I'd like to understand better, so that we can, if part of what we're trying to do is to be fair, in comparing with the townships, I don't know how the other townships actually play out all the other holidays and how they allot them. So I'm not sure that what we're doing is necessarily going to create fairness. In isolation, it may look so, but perhaps we need a bit more information. If we're going to do a comparison, let's do a complete comparison, I guess is my point.
Thank you. Any other questions? So seeing none, so I will look. So right now, from what I understand, there's the discussions on Remembrance Day, which is to have it all together or to have not a day in lieu when it falls on the weekend. So those discussions wouldn't be needed to get a show of hands for our clerk to document that. There's also the CPI discussions that was had in regards to remaining status quo with the 1 and 3 versus going to the rate. So, Madam Clerk, maybe I'll just look at you. Is that basically something you wanted that we can deal in an amended motion?
Sure.
I'll first of all, let's deal with the first one. So Remembrance Day. I'll start on this side. So in regards to comments made by Councillor McDonald about not letting staff go and participate in the event, but not giving them the actual full day off as a holiday. So I'll see a show of hands if there's interest on that side. See none. Is there interest on, remember that way it's written now is to have the day designated as a holiday for staff. So going towards the day in lieu, if it falls in during the weekend, is there appetite to have more discussions or on that? So in regards to Council Guindon, where if it falls in during the week, they get the day off. But if it falls on the weekend, it doesn't get pushed to an in lieu of the weekend. Is there appetite for that? I'll show of hands. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 against. No, to have the day off during the week, but not compensated for a weekend ceremony. They would not get a Monday off. So it would appear, Madam Clerk, that so we would go with the weekend day, but not replacing a weekend. Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
I don't want to. I think maybe we should have discussed Councillor Dencham's idea of maybe looking at, and there's some good ideas that Councillor Broad had as well, in regards, and it's the same thing for our council in the township. Council, we don't do pay raises, we just get our CPI every year, and the mayor does much better than a member of council, say from Kenyon does, because I make more, so my CPI is higher. So I would like to maybe just come back with it, just if we can. I don't know if everybody's on, but just going to what Councillor Dencham said, just a little bit, see what everybody is doing with Truth and Reconciliation Day, so that maybe we can have a policy across the entire counties.
Go ahead, Councillor Broad.
Just to give us a suggestion then, because I feel like we're good with the rest of the policy change.
Yeah.
We can remove from the motion the CPI and the Remembrance Day and vote on everything else and pass that, and then come back with the CPI and Remembrance Day in a separate motion to get to a final decision. Would that be fair?
That's good.
So, Madam CEO, is that, or Madam Clerk, is that something that we can amend the motion to deal with, and we'll leave out those two entities? Councillor Guindon, did you?
Yeah, just sorry, through you. Maybe it should read public holidays, just so we can have the broader conversation that Councillor Dencham wanted versus just Remembrance Day.
Yeah, I apologize. So yeah, both Truth and Reconciliation as well as Remembrance Day. So with that said, I'll go to you as a revised or amended motion.
Through you, Mr. Warden, I have a motion to amend the bylaw then. It will require a mover and seconder, and reads that bylaw number 5535 be amended by removing the following provisions: Remembrance Day and the CPI policy.
As well as if we can add Truth and Reconciliation, will fall in the realm of those two. Just understanding.
Yeah, it'll come back for discussion.
I do believe in the private sector, Truth, Reconciliation, Remembrance Day, and I believe Easter Monday are not part of stat holiday under compared to and then there's the fluctuation where you get family days with provincial but not federal remembrances. So there's maybe a good report to be brought back for both incidents. I'll look at Councillor Bergeron and then Councillor Guindon.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm just repeating what Councillor Guindon said, maybe just to remove holidays and not just remembrance, and two things in your amendment, just remove holidays. And that makes it general, so when we come back, we can discuss holidays.
Go ahead, Councillor Guindon.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify, we're just deferring the discussion on holidays. We're not removing a holiday from the policy. That's not what I...
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to work 365 days a year, everyone.
We'll leave the holiday section as is and come back with a fulsome report next month or July. So CPI policy and holidays in general. So that will require a mover and seconder to make that
For transparency, can you maybe reread now what we've got, and then I'll get you a mover and seconder.
That bylaw number 5535 be amended by deferring discussions surrounding holidays and the CPI policy to a future meeting.
Everybody's comfortable with that? So so moved by Councillor Densham, seconded by Councillor McDonald. With that said, all in favor? Motion is carried.
And through you, Mr. Warden, one more motion to approve the other changes. So it is moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Densham, that bylaw number 5535, being a bylaw to adopt revised policy number 1-20, a comprehensive personnel policy manual as amended, be read in open council, signed and sealed.
Thank you. All in or any further discussions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Moving to our consent agendas. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor McGillis, seconded by Councillor Fraser, that all items listed under the consent agenda section of the agenda be received and approved as presented.
Thank you. Any questions on our consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the report? Thank you very much. And moving to our boards and committees. So starting off with the warden. So I had the opportunity to attend the Cornwall and SDG Tourism Summit to go and say a few words. It was a great opportunity to connect with our leaders in the tourism sector, and seeing that the people or the people that attended were able to connect, learn from one another, and to position our region as a destination of choice. I think they had a great day. I said a few words, but then I had other engagements, so I didn't get to stay for the full day. On May 5th, we had a meeting with Alto, myself, CAO Adams, as well as Mayor and Deputy Mayor of North Glengarry, and I believe, Madam CEO, we are going to be bringing this back, I think, to a next meeting on discussions that were had and direction that we will be looking at you to go by. On May 7th, I had the joint liaison shared services. Basically, we just got reports on our provincial offenses, human services, the Glen Store Dun Lodge, as well as our paramedic services. I think it's a good morning just to get a handle on where we stand with those big four items. And last, on May 8th, we had a virtual meeting to go over our, I don't know if you call it a delegation, but we had our Queen's Park Advocacy Day on May 11th. It was a great opportunity. I went up with our incoming CAO, Mr. Fothrop, joined me on, and basically I'll just go over some of the 5 points I think that we are focusing on. So the number one is we're looking at doing a Eastern Ontario Transformation Action Plan that we're presenting. It's basically a plan that will provide a blueprint for our region's growth and investment opportunities. It will identify priority sectors, infrastructure needs, strategic partnership, and basically it's going out to an RFP in June. So it's ongoing, but it's a plan that we're trying to build for all of our Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus area. The next one was a province-wide centralized asset management. So it's something we're bringing forward. Right now, every municipality seems to be doing their own. They're not all equal, so to try to compare, I think it's something that if they had a provincial-wide, that they could compare it better and focus on. So that's something we're advocating for. I think I mentioned from our previous Roma conference, we had again trying to establish a paramedic college, which I think would benefit to increase our parameters in that field and get some people that I think are qualified, but they come over and because they don't meet the cannot join the force. So that's big. The next one is return to our regular property tax with impact. I think we're all on the same page there, but it's just trying to work as a whole to bring that back. But the biggest one, I think that would be a big positive feed on us is the HST reinvestment. So right now, the HST that's paid to the feds give back their 5%, we can reinvest. The provincial government keep 1.76% of their 8%. That we do not see, and we're trying to see if it's something that they could reflect, get the 1.76 back into, it would have to go towards infrastructure, but it's something that it's not really, it would cut out red tape to identify that 1.76 and basically leave it where we can not have to pay it back, take that 1.6 and put it towards our infrastructure. So that's one. I think we got feedback from many of the ministers in regards to this is one that they kind of interested the discussions. But it was a wonderful day. We had the opportunity to meet with Minister Flack, Minister Thompson, Premier Ford came and joined us for our reception at lunch. We met with Minister Sarkaria. We met with Kushner. So overall, it was a bit different in delegation, where you get your 15 minutes and the knock on the door. This was kind of more laid back. We could sit in there for half hour or more and really well organized. And I think there was a strong benefit for our region to be able to have those discussions. So again, for the administration at the Eastern Wardens Caucus to put this on, I think the wardens and mayors that are part of EOWC really appreciated their day. And with that, I believe that is it for me. So moving on to our joint liaison committee, I quickly mentioned the reports that were brought forward to us. Is there any other maybe discussions from other members that were present? I think was all good. So joint liaison.
Mr. Warden, I'll...
Go ahead, Councillor Lang. Oh, I apologize. Councillor Lang is the chair of the board, so I'll look at you.
Well, I went through and kind of made up a little report, so I didn't want to miss out giving it. Yeah. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. We basically, as the warden has said, we received reports from the various agencies that we represent there. I'll just go through and just highlight a couple of things. As far as court services, budget is kind of tracking where we thought, which is not as great as it used to be, but it is what it is. Just to something that was brought up to us, that Ontario's Chief Justice are requesting enhanced security members across all court locations where feasible. So this could be putting making sure you have a single entrance, screening such as metal detectors or wanding, and having police on duty at all times. So we're talking with Cornwall Police, because it's their jurisdiction where this building is, and to see how that could work out. Staff will be working with them to see what, and it'll likely end up costing us something, but we'll see where that ends up going. As far as the Housing Services Division, the wait list is down about 60 from the high where it was around the December-January time period. So I'm not sure exactly why, but anyway, the wait list is going down a bit. We're at 551 at the moment. Well, that's as of the April. It's active homeless has gone up since January, likely because the weather's a little nicer and people that don't want to be somewhere are wanting to be out and camping. I don't know if the numbers have actually changed, but it's hard to tell, but it went from 31 to 49 from January to March. Licensed childcare, just touch on a little bit. They were told us there are 2,687 as our operating capacity, but we're down about 225, and that's because of lack of early childhood educators. The staffing is an issue, and if we could get more staffing, and hopefully the province is doing something to work on that and encourage it, but if there was more staffing, we would have another 225 spaces available. Go on, Ontario Works, the caseload has gone up from 1,980 in October to 2,163. Maybe sign of the times. Things are tough in some areas for some people. Glenstoredon Lodge report, the administrator wasn't able to make the meeting, but just noting that we're still looking for one full-time, and that is a nursing supervisor. But the hiring process seems to be going fairly well, and we need a few more part-time, but that's not too bad. And I just would like to take 2 minutes to mention that as far as the paramedics, was just mentioned that from May 17th to the 23rd is Paramedic Services Week. So this year's theme is Improving Outcomes Together, and that kind of captures what our local paramedic service is all about. And they just wanted to acknowledge the fact that our paramedics are well appreciated in our community and thank them very much for what they do for this, because we're right in the middle of the paramedic acknowledgement. So that's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Moving on to our police board, I'll look at Councillor McGillis or Lang.
We didn't have a meeting since our last council meeting, so.
Thank you. Sorry, I skipped one, so I'll go to the library board.
You didn't.
He was jumping in his seat, so I'll go to Councillor Broad.
Yeah, you didn't skip it. You just raised attention to everybody about how important.
See, you
this
get
next
more
report's
attention when
gonna
you come
be.
back to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead, Councillor Broad.
No meeting in the last 30 days, but we are meeting Thursday night in Maxville, and we're going to be reviewing our book, The Grace Year, so I'll be chairing that. But you thought the conversation earlier under 8.3 CPI and Remembrance Day holiday was engaging. Wait till everybody gets to 11.6 today and coming up. So I want everybody to tune in, pay attention, be ready for 11.6 SDG Reads announcement coming soon.
Thank you very much. With that said, I'll jump back forward to the Eastern Ontario Health Unit. I believe Councillor Williams is not present. Is there somebody else on USIT? Go ahead, Councillor McGillis.
Meeting on Thursday for this month, so the 21st.
Thank you. Moving to the Glenstore Dunn Lodge, either Councillor Broad or McDonald.
No meeting.
No meeting. Thank you very much. St. Lawrence River Institute, Councillor Gaindel.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you, we have our AGM next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. It's also the opening of the new facility. Additionally, I wanted to note, as the chair of the governance committee, we're bringing on 2 new board members. For the public seat, it'll be Alison McDonald, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. And to fill the MCA role, it will be Kayla Sunday. And if you'll indulge me, I just wanted to put forth a new report that we should have starting in the July meeting. As everyone's aware, the 4 CAs are merging locally, and then the appointment will be at the county level. So I think it's important that county staff and councillors are aware of what's going on. I will be on the transition working group, so commencing with the July meeting, I'll give updates as to how that is moving forward and how that will affect the counties.
Thank you. Moving to the Raisin South Nation Source Water, Councillor Bergeron, nothing to report. Councillor Fraser, nothing in regards to municipal advisory. Going to the regional incentives, Councillor Densham.
No meeting, but I do support Councillor Gaino's idea of bringing the topic about the RCA, or the CAs to the table. It's an important topic. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Rural Education Committee, I have Councillor, my God, St. Pierre never comes, GSP, but it's MSP. No, we do have the chair today with us.
Excuse me. Can we get a big neon sign? It's like really. I know I don't say a lot, but you can remember the name.
They'll get you that if we're coming back.
Yeah. No, so we do have the chair, so I'll welcome Councillor Manley to maybe give us a brief on our
Thank you, Mr. Warden. We had a Zoom meeting the first part of May, and we're planning to submit a request to the Ministry of Education for a delegation to AMO this year, so that's coming up, and I think delegations are due this week, I believe. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. The SDG Forest Working Group, Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you. I'd like to thank Phil for all the work he's been doing lately, and you'll notice coming up further along in our agenda, we'll be talking a little bit about some of this stuff. There was a meeting on April 28th, I believe, and much appreciated Phil spending a little time with me before the meeting and quite a bit of time with me after the meeting, because we knew ahead of time I wasn't going to be able to make that meeting. And they did tour Francis Cretsch's property. I think it's Cedar Way Forest, we're calling it. So much appreciated for the work that's gone into this, and there's something coming to council, and we hopefully by the end of the year will have policy set for the next several years.
Thank you very much. And last, there's nothing with Borders Alliance. Perfect. Thank you very much. So moving on to our key information, Madam Clerk. Oh, I guess there's no motion on that, so I would look at getting Phil and Cameron to come and speak on items 11.1 and 11.2. Good morning, gentlemen. So I guess we're starting with the SDG Counties Forest Management Plan.
Well, thank you, Mr. Warden, and thank you, members of council, for allowing me to present some of the work that we've been working on for the last year or two with regards to the upcoming update of our forest management plan. So I'd like to take you for a little walk back in history, just to the origins of the SDG County Forest. These are some newspaper articles from 1948. In 1948, County Council, and under the guidance of Warden Fred Broder from Mooresburg, appointed a committee to examine forest cover and opportunities within the county to acquire lands for reforestation purposes. The county's advertised in local newspapers, and you can see examples here from the Chesterville Record, Mooresburg Leader, and these lands were originally classified as wastelands. And this motion would start the acquisition of land starting in February of 1949, whenever the counties acquired their first two county forest purchases. So here's some old aerial photographs from the early 1940s of some of the land that was acquired by the counties. So we have records going back, you know, to these early times, even with the negotiations of the landowners highlighting, you know, the desire for the counties to acquire some of this land. So here's a photo of some of our first forests. This is the Alvin Reynolds Forest up in the township of North Dundas. So the county's acquired 400 acres of land. And large areas of this property were extensively farmed, and also there was quite a bit of peat extraction in the area. So following the World War II, you know, peat was a commodity for burning and heating fuel sources. And the second forest, here, if you've ever been to Warwick Forest, the parking lot here at the very north end is on County Road 9, but this is the southern portion of Warwick Forest, and you can see, you know, the sectioned off farm fields and land that was largely left vacant. And these two properties form the first agreement for us with the SDG counties and the partnership between the Department of Lands and Forests, the M&R, which it was known as that time. So this land was owned by the counties and managed by the ministry. Reforestation efforts in the 1950s saw over 160,000 trees planted for restoration purposes. And here's some of the photos of these forests today. You know, so over the last 70 years, here's, you know, the Alvin Reynolds Forest reverting back to original bog complex, and just an absolutely beautiful forest, you know, which provides a lot of social and recreational opportunities for members of the public. And here is the southern side of Warwick Forest. So we harvested this in 2021 under the selection system. So here are some of the trees, you know, that we are now obtaining the benefits from and continue to manage this as a working forest. So what that is, you know, these compatible uses of the forest with ultimately the forest health in mind. So we look at all the inputs of, you know, for recreational purposes and forest operations becoming mutually compatible so that we're pushing the forest in the right direction, ensuring that it's going to be healthy for future generations. This is just a breakdown of our total forest, total county forest area by
township. I operate in hectares, so I did put it in acres there because that's something that most people are more familiar with. So we're approaching that 10,000 acres, which hoping to cross that line at some point. And you can see the percentage owned within each township there. So this brings us to the mission and objectives of our forest management plan. So currently our management plan is set to expire December 31st of 2026, and we've been busy working with our stakeholders to update the mission and objectives, gather feedback from them and the public, and important to recognize that this is a community forest and it's managed on behalf of the public. The management of the county forest directly contributes to council's strategic priorities of green living, and we have been working directly with our stakeholders and indigenous partners to gather feedback on these mission and objectives. So the goal of the FMP is to highlight our forest, its history, and how it's managed. This document ensures a consistent, balanced approach to forest management, and the actual forest management plan is the technical document where it ensures numerous benefits are accounted for, which includes like opportunities for local loggers and maple syrup producers, recreational opportunities for the public, such as hiking, skiing, hunting, snowmobiling, all those great things, as well as ecosystem protection of our natural heritage features. So the mission and objectives outlines those key objectives to ensure that our strategies as a certified forest are adhered to. Did it move slides there? Sorry. So our targets and strategies are the means by which we will ensure the mission and objectives are achieved. The SDG County Forest is a working forest with numerous uses occurring on the same properties. So here's just a couple, photos that highlight sort of what we look at. Natural heritage, so this is species at risk, American ginseng that we find on our properties. The top right corner is a picture of us tree marking. So all of our forest operations are approved by a registered professional forester or qualified member of the OPFA, and we manage in accordance to strategic direction put out by the province. Here's a photo of some of our wood harvests off our properties out in Warwick Forest, and of course education and awareness. So we lead tours, and this is a tour with our local SDG chapter of the Ontario Woodlot Association to one of our forests post-harvest to show them what the objectives were achieved. So our strategies, do you mind if I grab the notes there? Sorry. Our strategies for forest products include how our forest operations are planned and supervised, and additionally, our forests are utilized, like I said, for the public, for recreation, knowledge sharing, and all those great benefits. So these strategies will ensure our forests are valued and utilized into the future, and not only today, but into the future for many generations. So our forests do continue to grow. Last year, we were fortunate to acquire 225 acres of significant woodlands, and we continue to harvest, regenerate, restore, and conserve and grow our forests to ensure a healthy and diverse forest for the future. Our forests are very young. Like these were only planted in some cases, like the conifer stand 70 years ago, and many of the lands that we did acquire were previously cleared and then have regrown. So, proper management will just ensure, that return of investment and opportunities in the future. So our time, with this forest is relatively short, but proper management and, that care and attention that we put into it now will be recognized by, our great grandkids, hopefully. So.
Perfect, thank you. So that is the first part in regards to management plan. Any questions for Phil? Go ahead, Councillor Densham.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and through you. Yeah, it's a great report, so thank you for that. And I think it is a good time for us to relook at this, especially since you've been in now for a couple of years, had a chance to look through this. And I think it's important work that's being done, especially in the rural area. There's always a balance there when we're looking at farm fields being cleared, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is one of our primary opportunities to hold and maintain forest and public properties that can be enjoyed by the public. So your mission statement is good, but it tends to be focused mostly on the functional aspect of what you do, whereas the rest of the document really highlights the community contribution that you're making. So I would love to see you bring some of that community stuff into the mission statement, because I think that's really fundamentally what you're doing and how you create the buy-in. So again, when we're looking at the mission objectives, to some degree, we're looking to obtain, restore, and protect some of our natural resources in our community. And that's very, very important, like I say, especially as farmers are making important decisions on how they're going to use their land. The best way to protect land is if we own it, in my opinion. And the other piece in the mission is to create places of enjoyment and education. And I think you're already doing that. But if it becomes built right into your missions, then hopefully that we'll look for more ways to do that, because I think quite often people do not necessarily realize just how important some of these natural resources are. And the best way to educate them is to get them out walking through it. And like I say, I think some of your practices are doing that, but in my opinion, I think it needs to be part of your key vision and mission statement in order to reinforce that. So great work, support what you're doing. Like I say, we, especially through COVID, we were probably out walking that forest 5 days a week. And it's just a great place for people to re-energize and understand just how important these features are to our community.
Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Broad.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys, for the report. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it very much. Appreciate all you do for the forestry, and happy that this is ongoing. Good timing as well. If Councillor Williams would be here today, she'd remind us that at our December budget meetings, we discussed about a report coming back to understand future acquisitions and the cost that it would then add to our budget. So great to hear. We're almost at 10,000 acres, so that's awesome. But what does adding 10,000 more acres over the next 40 years look like? What does that cost? How many more fills do we need, et cetera? So I think it's great. This is going to be all part of the conversation at the same time as what the strategy and the input. What does the future growth look like, and then what does that look like come budget time? So thank you.
Any other questions? I'll look at Councillor St. Pierre. Just kidding, Mark. I just wanted to say your name. No, I'm. So as Councillor Densher said, I live about a minute from the workforce, and I've walked the trail many times, but according to my wife, it's not enough. So I guess I need to get out there a little bit more. So seeing no further questions, we can move on to our item 11.2 in regards to SDG County Forest Use Policy. Go ahead, Phil.
Yes, thank you. I don't have a fun presentation for this one, but because it would just be a whole bunch of pictures of garbage and illegal activities that are occurring on our properties. But the Key Information report there just summarizes some of the incidents that we do come across. And now that we're on the landscape a lot more, we're finding those things, and we kind of need a mechanism to be able to deal with those trespass incidents. But ultimately, this comes down to the respect for the forest, and building that community value in our forest itself. Quite often, whenever I do come across these incidents, most people are referring to this as Crown land, and it very much is not. It's owned by us and managed by us. It's not Crown land, which has largely been forgotten in Eastern Ontario. So we are trying to, bring that sense of community in and ensure that the focus for recreation is mutually compatible with all of these different things, but also, strategically making sure that these activities are happening in the right place at the right time, so that we're avoiding maybe putting a trail right through, sensitive ecosystems or endangered species and those types of things. So.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Seeing none. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We will move on to, I'd like to welcome Peter to come and discuss the development charges study update. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Council. So this is an update for a project we've been working on for some time, and the landscape's also changed in terms of the direction and the input we've got from the province on development charges. But before we move forward with any formal studies or notices or anything like that, we wanted to check in with Council to get some input on where you'd like us to go on the development charges. So we did include in the presentation some of the draft project lists and recommendations. So there's about For growth-related costs, it'd be about 28 million in total projects, and 16 of those could be recovered through development charges. Cameron and I worked a little bit more, and we could refine that down a bit to another maybe 12 million in growth-related costs. If that's done on a per new home basis, it would be about 6,000 per new home, and then after further refinement, we think we'd probably get about 4,500 to 5,000. So if that was something council wanted to implement, the 5,000 would be collected at the time of building permit by the local municipalities, whether they have a development charge or not. So it would be in addition to the local DC water sewer rate, those type of charges at the time of building permit. Also included would be a non-residential charge. So for if you see a lot of the projects in the intersection, it's a lot of intersections, and then upgrading of roads that are ermitizing relating to development. So 43, 31, 15 to a lot of where we see a lot of our truck traffic. That's also a big component of the study. In addition to transportation, library services is also eligible for development charge collection. Because we don't own our own facilities, it's not a large amount, but in terms of the collection, there could be some recovered as well. Talked with Rebecca since the draft, and maybe some electronic materials as well, just to accommodate growth over time. And as council is seeing, we are growing, and even to do this project list, we didn't necessarily have this before, because we're stagnant or are not growing as much for several years. But the last little while, you've noticed quite a bit of growth, new residents, very exciting. But eventually some of these intersections will need to be upgraded. And I think it's a question for this council or future council on how you'd like to pay for that. So in the second page, just noting again the direction and the input we've got from the provincial and federal governments is, especially on the residential side, not to proceed with increases. And I know some of your municipalities have made adjustments or decided not to proceed for that reason as well. So given that the study is kind of in the process, could be finalized and brought forward, some of the options we put for council to consider, we could go ahead with that, have the public meeting, notify developers, local municipalities, and proceed with the process, the standard process, probably come back to you in the fall. It could be deferred till the next term of council. So a lot of those programs, even the DC breaks and some of the rebates, they're only for up to 1 or 2 years. So council could relook at that, or the next council could relook at that once we see the landscape after those programs. Hopefully they're working, housing catches up and starts booming again, and we could always look at that at a later date. There would just be some cost to update, 1 more year, but it's mostly staff giving the input for a spreadsheet. Here's what any new projects are. So that's the option 2, is defer to the next term. Option 3 would be the focus a lot on affordable housing, but there is some significant non-residential impacts from some of our projects. We could only look at the non-residential and stay without any residential ones for now, or finally proceeding with only one of the services, such as library. Obviously road is a larger one, but there's a lot more funding usually available. I think it's about 45-50 million per year, whereas library doesn't necessarily have that funding available, so development charges could help that. So like I said in the attachment, you can see the projects. It's intersection improvements, roundabouts. If the county were to take over Finch-Roxborough Road, some of the upgrades required for that. County Road 2, some urban resurfacing related to growth, turn lanes, that type of thing, and then some growth-related studies. At the end of the day, though, for council to consider, it is not a large amount to your budget, whether you decide to proceed with development charges or not. It's about, we would raise about 1.2 million or 1.4 million a year, but your budget for transportation is closer to 45-50 million. Your capital budget is maybe in the 20s or 30s. So it's a way that we can recover costs, but if council decides not to, and maybe the focus on the local tier development charges, it's not a huge hit to the budget either way, but it does, for some of those distribution centers and new intersections, help to cover costs. So I'll turn it back to the warden and happy to answer questions.
Thank you. So I'll start with Councillor McDonald, and then I'll go to Councillor Bergeron.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Thanks for your report, Peter. Always very, very well written. I would just suggest that, to be discussing development charges at this time is a little bit tone deaf, considering, what we're going through here in the world is in Canada. We're wanting people to build, we're wanting people to develop, and I understand that we will have a deficit, but we're also being told by the provincial government that they don't want to see development charges at this point. So I just think it's something that we should be deferring down the road to another council, and in the future, this things will get better, I'm assuming, and maybe at that time that we consider bringing it back. But at this point in time, I just think we sound like we're not listening to what's really happening in the world. So thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Bergeron.
Thank you, Warden, and I agree with Councillor McDonald. Housing starts are down this year, and developers are finding it difficult to move forward. In North Dundas, for instance, right now, where we really want to encourage housing because we need growth, water and sewer charges are $22,606. Development charges $12,228. So someone who wants to build a house, before they even build the house, have to pay $34,834 up front. And that's just for those charges. So if we add another layer, bringing it up to $40,000, we just won't be getting the development. And so at this point, I don't agree with having development charges at the county level.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor St. Pierre.
Thank you. And I do have something to say, so it's not just a joke. Yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 bullets here that I want to bring up, and we've kind of heard about it before. Currently, as we know, we have a current HST rebate that has been directed to first-time home buyers or first-time builds, and the purpose of that was to kickstart the first-time housing. And then the other one for municipalities that do have DC charges, there is the Canada-Ontario Partnership Build, which is an application formula base that you can apply to receive funding through the provincial government as well. So them 2 pillars are directly for new houses, and for us to implement DC charges is kind of going in the face of what our provincial partners are trying to do. Working in the development industry, we know that there has been, and maybe outside of SDG, where I typically do our housing projects, but there is an uptick in housing. But what we don't know is that just a short-term 4 to 6, 8-week uptick. We don't know what's going to be in 3 to 4 or 6 months. So, we still need to determine that first to see how the housing market is moving forward. Another thing, in direct discussions with Minister Fideli and Minister Quinn through our delegations, or just meeting with them locally or coming down to Cornwall, they've been flat out straight with us to say no DC charges. They are looking, the provincial government is looking at local governments that do not have DC charges or very little as a pillar to other municipalities, and they're looking at that when there's funding applications and other opportunities that are coming forward. So I think that, again, as Councillor McDonald alluded to, I think that goes against what they are directly saying to all of us. And, our economics are not very good right now. I mean, I know inflation is kind of still at that 2 or 3%, and as what CAO Adams was saying, the banks always adjust that. But the 2 pillars that we're facing is high fuel prices and high food prices. And that's a direct hit to us and to everybody else as well. So with thinking through this a little bit, I think that if local municipalities want to have DC charges, I think that's where it's best fitted to begin with. I don't think the upper tiers should even offer up development charges. I think when you think about our taxes that we generate through our revenue through property taxes that we generate, a third goes to the county, a third goes to our education system, and we retain a third, which is not covering all of our costs in terms of our asset management plan. And I'm sure we're all about the same, where we run probably anywhere from about a $15 to $18 million operations budget, and our assets are probably around $400 to $500 million, give or take. And we're just not generating enough money through property taxes. So if we want to generate more money for future, I think that should stay at the local level, not at the upper tier. I think that goes against even what we're saying in South Dundas of no development charges. So I can't consciously say no development charges in South Dundas and then come here to this table and say yes to development charges. So with just thinking my way through this, I agree. I don't think we should be entertaining this. I don't think we should be entertaining this at the upper level at all, to be quite frank with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Densham.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. And as you know, we are having this discussion right now in terms of the potential for having development charges. And even our council is somewhat split. I think the general consensus is what I'm hearing is we believe we might have the ear of the province at the moment. And I do believe we potentially need to let that play out, see if they can actually deliver. So I'd be happy to sit tight on this for 2 years and then potentially have a discussion at that point with the current council at that time, especially given the potential small upside on this one. And I have to say, the quality of our roads is quite good. Every time I drive out of SDG, I know I'm driving outside of SDG, right? So for my congratulations for that, but at the same time, I don't think we have the urgency that some of the local townships are feeling in some other areas of infrastructure. So I agree with Councillor St. Pierre's comments there that this is probably going to be more impactful at the local township level, and that's for the local townships to decide what meets their needs. So again, thank you for bringing it forward. I think it's an important discussion. I'm glad you raised it, but I think I would prefer to see this 2 or 3 years off in the future so that we can see how the dust settles on what the province is doing right now.
Thank you. Councillor McGillis and then Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I agree with most of my colleagues here in terms of putting a freeze temporarily at the county level. We have to balance growth with affordability, and we can't solve housing shortages and making houses more expensive to build. Doesn't make any sense to me. We keep it at the municipal level, and you can't. I wrote here, you cannot keep calling affordability housing while continuing increasing the cost to build it. So, you know, and making houses more expensive at this point in time, that's all it's going to do at this point. And I think we should just relax on this and defer it to another council, as Councillor MacDonald suggested. And I think that's a good suggestion today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
All right, thank you, and through you, Mr. Warden. I often think this one from a numbers perspective, naturally. I don't think that will shock anybody. I don't know if I necessarily think we have to do this, so I'm in agreement, but I'm going to speak counter to my feelings, is that, say that was $6,000 per build. If it doesn't come from this one developer, it comes from 65,000 current people living here. So we often see that, you know, like one person saves 6,000, everybody pays, say, 10 cents. If we constantly do that, we do find ourselves behind. And what I mean by that is, you know, if I can anecdotally say it, when you show up to play poker at a poker table, you don't just get your chips and sit down at the table being the community. You pay for your chips and then you join the community. And I've always thought the development charges that way are a way to, like somebody comes into the community and that's money that's not taken from the general tax base, because every upgrade, every intersection that you're talking about, if not from development fees, comes from our taxation. So it's one of those things, like somebody's going to feel not $6,000, but everybody's going to feel that times 1 point some million dollars. So that's like, I don't think we need it at the upper tier right now, But that's something that we do have to consider, is anytime we say no to collecting fees for new growth, we're making our current person pay for the ramifications, whether that be an upgrade and a roundabout that comes from 65,000 people already here, not new to here.
Thank you. Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you. There's no denying, and I won't deny that I'm a strong supporter of development charges. Growth is paid for by development. To Councillor McDonald's thoughts, I'm sure I share many of his thoughts on this. And the mantra from the provincial government was growth will be paid for by development, and taxation is not going to pay for growth. That's changed. We have to understand that. The provincial government are the ones that we seek support from at our local municipalities and here. So and I do believe in that mantra, but I also believe that if the province are holding the purse strings, we have to be mindful of that. I do appreciate Mr. Young's presentation, and unfortunately it's come at a time, and please tell me, how long ago did this start, this exercise to develop this presentation?
2022, 2023. And
so this started a few years ago, and a few years ago I think it might have been accepted a little bit differently, and currently in this economic time I know we're looking at having to reduce our capital charges for connections for water and sewer, where our DCs will be reduced because we have to be mindful of the province and some of the things that they dictate, that in order to be receiving support from them, we have to be supportive of their policies, and so that's the way I see that. But I do thank you for the presentation. I do see the benefits of the things in the package, and it's just we're in an unfortunate time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I guess I get to pipe in. So as Councillor Densham mentioned, we in North Stormont, we are looking at, so we've gone through the study process. We've had our public meetings. We've engaged with our developers and builders. And my thoughts is, Councillor McGillis mentioned, where right now, why are we putting on development charges? We want to help not increase cost houses. We want to promote growth, which I fully understand that. But if your growth is now stopped because you need a lagoon, you need wells, you need to implement your infrastructure, okay, you're not building anything. And if you don't have money and you're crossing your fingers hoping to get funding, which is not guaranteed. So we were fortunate enough to get some funding for our Moose Creek project, and we're moving forward. If that had not happened, I would have been looking at our developer saying, sorry, we can't help you right now, and everything would. And I've seen it in the construction field where municipalities that are stopped because of allocation. So when it comes to development charges, again, it's to maintain a proper balance. So we've seen through the report that was presented to us from a variety of, some are up to 40,000. I think Rockland, Clarence Rockland were quite high. Our neighboring municipalities to the north, I know North Dundas to the west also has them. So we're competing, trying to move forward. If we maintain low amounts, where in our case it's just slightly above 20,000, which is, we already have a $10,000 allocation bylaw through a bylaw, not DC charges. We would incorporate that. There's all kinds of, I've studied it, there's all kinds where if you have bylaw with, you need it at the front end when you're applying for your building permit. If you have DC charges, it's at the tail end. Well, the builders appreciate getting to pay that fee at the occupancy stage. They're flipping it within 2 weeks, and they get their money for the house, and it just rolls. So our developers have brought forward stating that they're agreeing with the bylaw or the DC charges that we're proposing, except they want to make sure that it's going in the right spot. And if it's going towards growth and moving forward, where they know they've got an engine behind them that's going to drive where they can continue building houses and not get so you apply for a 300 house subdivision or development through our draft plan approval. that's all great, and you move until you're being told that, oh, well, we don't have the allocation, you can't move. So they've made an investment, bought the land, and now the municipality. So I've had discussion, or I brought this discussion to the OWC. It was moved and seconded to bring it back to our next meeting. There's 103 municipalities in Eastern Ontario that we can kind of get reference from where, and I was fortunate enough to sit down for probably close to half an hour with Minister Flack, and made the comments where we had gotten some feedback saying, well, if you go for development charges, you're not going to get the funding. So the number right now is 8.8 billion that's being put between the feds and the province towards development, towards development, I should say, over the next 10 years. That's a substantial amount of money. And they're saying, well, are you going, if you apply for these development charges? So what came out of the province, and that's again Mr. Flack speaking, is they want you to reduce or maintain reduction of your DC charges. And my question to him was, what about the ones like us that don't have them? So we are getting zero money back in our pot to try to do our own goose egg, or to have our nest egg to put towards building on our infrastructure. And he totally agreed with me that you're not going to be denied any funding. What they're looking at is, some of them are $70,000, $80,000 development charges. They're looking at getting those reduced. But where you're at 20, we're already at 10 right now by bylaw. So we're not increasing it by 20. It's just going up to 20, and that's basically a 5,000 DC charges to every other services, whether being fire, rec, and 15,500 or 16,000 is for water and sewer, which will help our developers. So there's a lot of discussions that have been moving forward, that it's not a big increase right now in our villages. We're looking at $6,000 more for their infrastructure and another $5,000. So they're looking about $10,000 more per house to maintain the services and making sure the allocation for the infrastructure is in place for them to keep moving, and having the notion that we're there for them and not just hoping and crossing your finger. So Chrysler, for example, we're getting a second developer coming in. That is a worrisome aspect for the developer that's there now, because he's saying they're just taking part of our allocation that we thought was there, and all of a sudden now, are you guys working with us to guarantee that we're going to move forward? So I don't know if they're, like I say, there's lots, but Minister Flack has maintained that the increase that we're looking at, and the other aspect is, do we look at increasing just by bylaw for water and sewer allocation, and not specifically saying, so I have municipalities that have up to 27,000, I believe, in bylaw for their water and sewer, and then they have 5,000 in DC charge. So when you hear about, oh, you only have 5,000 in DC charges, well, that's kind of a false pretense, because they're not mentioning that they're, so I believe many municipalities with DC charges have their water and sewer allocation built in, versus some of them are doing it separate. And Peter, I think, can vouch for that. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Correct. So if you're told that, oh, you only have a $5,000, the public kind of pertains, oh, well, that's reasonable. But again, the developers are still paying the bylaw aspect of it. So this is so anyways, there's lots to become. I'm hoping to get more from our next meeting with the caucus, and just getting an overview of where we stand as a whole region of Eastern Ontario for small rural sectors. So, and I'll keep you posted on as far as moving that forward. So I see Councillor McGillis wants to add to that.
Thank you for your response. I totally agree with what you're saying, Mr. Warden, with respect to why we need development charges. You know, somebody's got to pay for that extra infrastructure, especially if you're looking at new plan of subdivisions or whatever. But that said, I mean, in South Stormont right now is looking at updating our development charges. And what I was saying is that this economic climate that we're in right now, there's people struggling to try and find out, especially first home owners are looking to buy. They're having a hard time paying just a down payment. But yet, you know, here we are looking at adding additional development charges on top of what we're paying here, they're going to be paying at the municipality. To me, it's not the right time. We should looking at putting a freeze on it. Let the next council deal with this and see how, if things get better. But at this point in time, this is not the time. So I think we should just hold off on this. And I mean, Peter, you come up with a great plan. I like it. But this is not the, I don't think we're in the right time to do this at this point in time. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
So if I can add, I was speaking for the lower tier. Now back to what the key information we have in front of us. I fully support. So right now, I don't believe it's the time. I think there's more the structure of keeping the building aspect is you need your allocation and infrastructure. What we're looking at is the basically appointing the DC charges to the services that we could potentially serve. So I fully agree. I think there's a few around the table that I don't think right now is the time at the county level to be. We're struggling right now making the decision at the lower level, which I believe is needed, but not so much at the county level. So again, looking around the table, is there any further discussion on, Peter, did you kind of get a sense of
no, I really appreciate the input, and I'll come back maybe in a couple of years.
Is that a report that will come back by resolution to council?
Yes, so we'll leave, it can just be left for now, and we'll revisit, at least now we have the project list, what the amount, so the future council could consider that if they wish to, but thank you for all the input. And
so do you want, maybe I'll see a show of hands, is everybody in agreement to go in that route, just pushing? Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much, Peter. So we can move on to our 2026 Regional Tourism Grant Award. I believe Karina will be speaking on that. Good morning.
Good morning, Council. I'm pleased to be here today to provide a brief update on the 2026 Regional Tourism Grant Program. So this program was designed to support municipalities and community organizations in developing and enhancing initiatives that boost the visitor experience, increase regional visibility, and contribute to the local economy. The program continues to be an important tool to grow events, strengthen attractions, and encourage visitors to explore SDG counties. So Council had approved a budget of $40,000 for the 2026 intake. Applicants were accepted between February 4th and March 24th through the tourism website, and we had a great response with 23 applications submitted from across the region. So applications were reviewed by an evaluation committee consisting of the warden, the tourism supervisor, and 2 additional SDG county staff members. Following the review process, 16 organizations were approved for funding. The approved projects represent a strong mix of tourism experiences across the counties, including fairs, arts and culture initiatives, music festivals, historical programming, and Indigenous tourism experiences. A few highlights to mention are the Williamstown Fair. It's their 215th anniversary, and they're doing an entertainment expansion this year, which will introduce 3 new stages and really focus on drawing families in and increasing visitation from outside the region. The Priest Mill Arts Gallery project continues to position SDG counties as an arts and culture destination. They have curated exhibits, workshops that are designed to attract both artists and visitors from the region, and their United exhibit will specifically encourage artists to create work inspired from locations across SDG counties. We also saw some strong support from heritage and cultural initiatives, including the Battle of Chrysler Farm reenactment and the Apple and Arts Studio Tour, both of which continue to draw visitors while showcasing the unique history of SDG. Overall, this year's intake demonstrated continued growth, creativity, and collaboration happening across the tourism sector. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Karina. Any questions? I'll take Councillor Densham, please.
Thank you, Karina, for the good report and great organizations that are contributing to our tourism. I'm just wondering if somebody can tweak my memory on this one. At budget time, we talked a little bit about the local fairs and how they would be funded and whether or not they would be coming through this particular funding bucket, whether or not they continue to come through directly as an ask to council during budget time or not. And I just simply can't remember whether or not they come through this process. And if they do, I don't see them listed in this list here. So I'm just wondering if somebody can remind me on that.
I pretty sure I'll let maybe Karina, I believe that that money is set aside at budget time specific to our fairs, not through this process, but Karina can probably add to that.
Yes, thank you. So we do have, each county fair is awarded $3,000 from the county. So it was in corporate services budget, and it has moved to the tourism budget line for 2026, and they are still eligible for the tourism grant above and beyond that. So again, showing new and different initiatives. So like this year with the Williamstown Fair, they are adding 3 stages. So it is different and above and beyond the county's funding.
Thank you. Glad to hear it.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and to Ms. Belanger. Can you just enlighten me about the third from the bottom, your Arts Council Cornwall and the counties? For most of the rest of the organizations, I have a fair idea of what's going on, not the specific, as you mentioned with the Williamstown Fair, but I understand those groups, but that one is somewhat foreign to me.
Yes, so that is Apple and Arts. It's the studio tour, so that happens every year in September, and it's 1 weekend, and there's studios from across the counties and Cornwall. I believe they're up to close to 30 that will open their doors and attract visitors in. Artists are able to sell their artwork, and then also they do set up at different locations. I believe last year, Found Boot and Bind, they hosted Apples and Arts and had some artists on site, so that's the Your Arts Council project.
Thank you very much. It sounds interesting.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, Karina. And we can move towards Mr. Broad's most anticipated we're skipping one, sorry. I missed the historic jails, so which I think we'll get a taste of it later on as soon as we finish County Council. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Warden. So I'm pleased to provide you with an update for the historic SDG jail this morning. We've been quite busy since our last update in November 2025, so I'm very excited to have you to the open house today. But before that, we'll introduce you to a few things. We'll start with our upcoming tour season, which has something for everyone to enjoy. We'll be open from May 27th to August 23rd, Wednesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. New this season, we will have a bilingual self-guided tour option, which is a change from our hourly guided tours. We'll still offer our guided tour, but with some expanded content at a bit of a higher price point, and it'll be offered twice daily, 10:30 and 2:30. Our event lineup, I believe I shared with you the Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison show at our last update. We still have show times at 3 and 8 o'clock. If anyone still wants tickets, there are still some available. We have our Haunted Walk with Phantoms of Yore on June 12th and 13th. And a new event to share with you is Go Boy, Memoirs of a Life Behind Bars. This is going to be a documentary screening. Just to give you a little background on Go Boy, if you're not familiar, it's a feature documentary chronicling the physical and psychological effects of the prison system, seen through the eyes of Roger Caron. He's a jailbreaking bank robber turned award-winning author. Roger spent 24 years in prison and escaped an incredible 13 times, more than anyone in Canadian history. His story began and ended here in Cornwall, so he's very well known within the community. And some of the footage from the film was actually filmed here in the jail. So tickets are on sale today. I highly recommend it. It's going to be a great event. We also have our summer students hosting regular night tours, and we'll have our doors open on August 15th and 16th. Our collaboration with Lost Villages Brewery was released last month, The Jailers Goes. I've been told it outsold their bestseller in its first week on tap, and due to popularity, another run is in the works. It's delicious if you haven't already tried it. If you make it to the end of our open house tour today, you will get a sample, so I hope you'll enjoy that. A few tour updates. So as mentioned, we'll feature several new visitor experiences. We have the self-guided tour. This is accompanied by a self-guided tour map with 16 newly installed directional signs, so people are able to make their way through the jail without getting lost. The enhanced 1.5-hour guided tour has extended content and new stories. We also have an expanded group tour offering designed to accommodate large tour operators, large school groups, and community organizations. We actually already have 8 large tour operators booked with 50 to 60 visitors per group this season. This is a new offering that I'm hoping we can expand with our marketing to attract larger bus groups that come through the region. We're also developing a refreshed, accessible tour experience for those who cannot make their way through the jail. It'll be offered here in the warden's room, and it'll feature video content and various artifacts that they can handle. An update on our RED grant, so we can see where these funds are going. In terms of exhibit development, again, a directional signage for the self-guided tours. Our bilingual panels and artifact labels will be on display. Our French artifact labels are still in development, but they'll be ready for opening day. We've worked with Cornwall Community Museum to research artifacts throughout the jail. This has allowed us to create proper labels, and a collection document is in development to ensure monitoring and safekeeping of the jail assets. We've also obtained digital copies of photos and archival documents so we can attribute proper credit and copyright for those items on display. We've accumulated a collection of primary source documents, both books and newspapers, and they're held in-house for reference and future development. And we also have a beautiful art exhibit on display for this season through a partnership with St. Joseph's Catholic Secondary School. On the structural side, installation of new flooring, the demolition and reconstruction of our gallows, resurfacing of the gallows courtyard, replacements of concrete step, and a new public washroom within the jail, which is wonderful because we used to have to send people all the way up here through the courthouse, which really interrupts the middle of a tour when you're halfway through the jail. Now, it does have an artistic twist, so I think I'll leave that for you to see. I have a little sneak peek and some pictures I'd like to share. So having said that, I thought it would be nice to reminisce on the before of the jail and what it looked like. You'll have to go through to see the after, but just to refresh our memory of what we started with. So as you can see, a lot of areas with blank walls or areas that tend to be filled with clutter, various papers on display. And we had a few exhibit panels, sort of drapey vinyls hanging, continuously falling from the walls. Just sort of plastic tabletop displays. Again, throughout, missing ceiling tiles, just empty display cases, various areas of clutter. My friends, the mannequins, they did not survive the development process. They are still somewhere in the jail. I won't tell you where. We're hanging on to them. Maybe for our night tours, they'll make a reappearance. And there's our team hard at work. The process has been long, very labor intensive, a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of dirty work, a lot of dust. An amazing team to work with, Ashley and Dean. They were still at work early this morning, preparing, putting some final touches on. And there's a look at our old gallows and the weed garden out in the gallows courtyard. Very glad to see that go. Definitely a bit of a hazard. It's a little sneak peek at the new gallows, just some work being done. Many people may have missed the crane we had lowering in supplies into the courtyard. It was very early in the morning that day. And a great team from John Gordon Construction doing work. And our bathroom renovation. Putting the bathroom in was not an easy task, and I believe it was years in the process. So I'm excited for you to see how wonderful it looks. I joke that it's one of the nicest rooms in the jail now. So with that little sneak peek, I hope you can all join us for the open house following council meeting. It'll be a self-guided tour for you to enjoy, and there'll be some light refreshments as well as a gift bag at the end. So I hope you will be able to stay and join us. Are there any questions?
Go ahead, Councillor McGillis.
Yes, John's team must have had a lot of raised elbows when they said they were building a gallows, when they asked them what you were doing.
I had one of the workers say it was probably the most fun project he's ever worked on. He actually looked forward to come to work. And I'd regale them with some stories of the history too while they were working away on it. So a very interesting project. It is very sturdy. There was no engineering assessment when we built it, but it is sturdy enough to walk on, although we will not advise it. Kim's saying no. But at least we now don't have to worry if someone feels ambitious and they want to climb it. We don't have to worry too much.
Any other questions? Seeing none, well, I look forward to seeing more of it later on after council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I would like to welcome our Director of Libraries, Ms. Rebecca Luck, in regards to our SDG reads. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Warden, members of council, and members of the public who are anxiously watching. Thank you to Councillor Broad for the wonderful introduction earlier and the anticipation for this great event. SDG Reads is our one book, one community program that brings people across SDG counties together to read works by one Canadian author and enjoy a shared reading experience. The program celebrates Canadian literature while also creating opportunities for community connection, discussion, and local engagement. With that, I am very pleased to turn it over to Emily Andrews, our community librarian, who has done a wonderful job of spearheading this amazing program.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you very much. So before we give you all the information that people have been waiting for, just to give you an idea, last year's event was one of our most successful events to date for SDG Reads, and it demonstrated just how much excitement this program generates through SDG counties. So our tickets sold out in just 4 days, with people paying for membership from outside of the counties in order to guarantee getting a ticket. More than 500 people across the counties read one of the titles that we were offering that evening, and we welcomed over 200 attendees to the event itself on the evening, filling the venue to full capacity and maybe a little bit more, I think. And so the success of last year's program and the years that have come before it demonstrate that there's a really strong appetite in our community for large-scale cultural events dedicated to reading and to Canadian authors. So, making you wait just a little longer. So for the past couple of weeks, we've been building anticipation through the branches, issuing a series of clues each week and giving our patrons an opportunity to guess who the author is. And what we'll do with those ballots is on Friday this week, we're going to draw a winner who will win one of the author's titles. So this is just, sparking that conversation in branches between our staff and our patrons and encouraging the community to get involved before this morning's announcement. So with Sherry LaPena, I'm pleased to announce, is officially our SDG Reads 2026 author. I'm going to have to refer to my notes now. So Sherry is one of Canada's most successful contemporary thriller authors, with her breakout novel, The Couple Next Door, selling more than 4 million copies worldwide. And this year, it's her 10-year anniversary, so it's being released as a special edition. Her 9 novels have become international bestsellers, appearing on New York Times best-selling list, as well as the Globe and Mail, the Sunday Times in the UK, etc. They've been translated into multiple languages worldwide and are published in more than 40 territories across the world. She's particularly known for suspense-driven novels that appeal to a broad audience, including both avid readers and more casual readers. And we're thrilled to bring an author of this caliber to our community through SDG Reads. We expect this announcement is going to really build excitement amongst our patrons and the community, and I anticipate that people will be excited to come along and we'll have quite a bit of buzz after this morning's announcement. So we're going to feature 3 of Sherry's novels, She Didn't See It Coming and Getting Away with Murder, which are her 2 latest novels, as well as the 10th anniversary special edition of The Couple Next Door. So residents of the counties are invited to attend the event at North Stormont Place on October 5th, and we hope to see you all there. We also have a message from Sherry, so this is what's going out in our social media today to help our announcement.
Hi, I'm Sherry LaPena, and I'm excited to announce that I will be the SDG Reads author for 2026. I will be coming out to Avonmore on October the 5th to meet you, to answer all your questions, and to sign your books. This event is part of the One Book, One Community event hosted by Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry County Library. I'll be talking about 3 of my books. Last year's She Didn't See It Coming, The Couple Next Door, which is in its 10th anniversary edition, and this year's book, Getting Away with Murder. I will see you there. Bye for now.
Thank you very much for allowing us the opportunity to share with you this very exciting announcement. If there's any questions, we'd love to answer it. And otherwise, we would love to have a photo opportunity with the members of the board and our big book. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll look, is there any questions, comments? Thank you. So as it was said, though, it is, I think every year it's ramping up to be more the word's getting out there. So I'm definitely, if we sold out quite fast last year, I don't see any difference this year. So get your tickets early. Thank you very much, ladies. And moving to our 2026 Communication Annual Report. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Warden, would we be able to do the photo opportunity, or would you like it after County Council?
From what we only have 2. Do we want to just wrap it up? It shouldn't take long. Yeah, we'll just wrap it up, and then we'll have members of council go over and get the picture.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. So if I can get Todd to come in regards to our communication annual report.
Morning, Council. Good morning, Warden Landry. Before I get started, I'd like to say a special thanks to Councillor McDonald for doing all he did yesterday to get our Montreal Canadiens out of the second round. All those messages on Facebook obviously had the desired effect, so thank you. The 2026 Communications Annual Report highlights strong performance and continued growth across SDG County's communications channels in 2025, supporting Council's strategic priority of effective, transparent communication. The SDG County's website remains the primary hub for public information and services, generating nearly 155,000 visits with an engagement rate of 45%. And that indicates that users are actively finding and interacting with meaningful content online. Traffic is largely driven by organic searches, confirming that residents rely on websites for timely service-related information. Key pages include employment opportunities, county maps, court services, and emergency notices, and this reflects high demand for practical, service-oriented content. Social media continues to play a critical supporting role by directing users to the website. Facebook remains the most impactful platform that we have, generating 4.36 million views last year, 33,000 interactions, and 1,100 new followers. Instagram and X provide additional reach, though those platforms have lower engagement than Facebook. Facebook is definitely our primary social media channel. The report also emphasizes the importance of clear, consistent branding and plain language communication to build public trust. You will note through most of our, if not all of our communications now, we use SDG counties. We've avoided using SDG, SD&G, the counties, all of that fun stuff. That remains part of, obviously, the local lexicon, but in our official communications, we use SDG counties. Communications supports included doing some work from multiple internal departments and provided direct assistance to local municipalities, including North Stormont and North Dundas, particularly last year during the emergency situations like the Alvin Runnels forest fire. Emergency communications remained a key function with 117 public alerts issued last year and active involvement in emergency preparedness and exercises. Additionally, communications initiatives supported tourism and economic development through storytelling tools like the SDG podcasts, the City of Cornwall and SDG Counties podcasts that were created for this year's visitor guide. Overall, this report demonstrates a well-coordinated digital-first communication strategy that effectively informs residents, supports municipal operations, and strengthens regional connectivity. The report was really fulsome, contained a lot of numbers and a lot of information, and I would be happy, Warden Landry, to answer any questions.
Thank you, Todd. I'll start with Councillor Densham.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and through you, and thank you, Todd, for the report. Actually, I like our website, and I think you've done a great job keeping it current, keeping it simple, and that's great. One thing that I was a bit curious, though, is whether or not we have an inventory of the search terms that were used and whether or not you look at those search terms within it. Because what I find in my experience, and this was a little bit of my career in the past, is people tend to learn what they can easily get from a website, and they also then avoid it when it's more difficult. Or some people come in, they crash into something, they don't get exactly satisfied. So what's really helpful is understanding the search terms that they use, and second of all, a bit of an understanding of level of satisfaction. Did they get and see what they needed? And I'm wondering whether or not we're making progress in that area. And even beyond that, with AI coming on the way it is, a lot of AI is actually scraping websites, potentially ours as well, to retrieve information and bring it back. I don't know whether we have any data on that, or even, and sorry for the number of questions here, whether and how we're thinking about potentially integrating AI into our website so that people can go and utilize AI to do that. Because what I find is people talk to AI different than they talk to a search engine. Search engine, they put in a couple of words that they think are the key buzzwords, and they hope it takes it where they want. When they're talking to AI, they put in a sentence which really articulates what it is they're fundamentally looking for, and I think that would be very, very rich data to understand why are people coming to our website, what are they really looking for, so if it's missing, that gives us an opportunity to improve that over time. So a lot of comments there. Like I say, I think our website is actually quite good compared to other websites that I've seen, but are these things that we're looking at in terms of improvement in the future?
Sure. So I can make a couple of points to that end through you, Warden Landry. In terms of satisfaction and a review, that is absolutely something we're looking at this year. So we've had our website now, and we've been in communications through my role for about 6 years. The new website, I'm going to suggest to you, it's not really new anymore. It's probably 4 years old, almost 5 years old. So this is a great opportunity now to do a bit of a review like that and talk to the public and find out from them what do they like about the website, and maybe are there things that they don't like that they'd like to see a little bit of changes to. So we're absolutely looking at that. In terms of AI, we are right at the beginning of a great big conversation around AI and how that's going to impact our website. We've been having regular conversations through my little desk with our IT department, liaising with them regularly about what AI means for our website and what it's going to mean moving forward. You'll note that the SDG Municipal Summit is coming up in a few weeks. AI is absolutely going to dominate that agenda, and we should have some fulsome discussions then. So it's a long way of telling you that's a bit of an evolution. Obviously, it's going to be a huge impact, AI and its impact on our website. And I guess it's a way of telling you that those conversations are taking place. Do we have a plan or a specific theme that we're going to follow at this point? No, only because we are just starting to have those conversations.
Go ahead. Follow up, Mr. Warden. So thank you. That's great news on that. And I think, or I hope, that in that conversation in the summit, we're also going to talk about how we potentially integrate, if we're going the direction of AI, how we can integrate that across the local township sites as well. Because I think often people don't know exactly where to go, whether they need to go to the county, whether they need to go to the township. And so if we're doing an integration process, and given the capabilities of AI, I don't think it would be a heavy lift to be able to extend the reach a little bit into the local township ones so that people can go wherever they intend to go and get better educated on where they should go and get the answers more quickly. So thank you.
If I may, Warden Landry, right there with you. So if there are opportunities to liaise and collaborate with local townships on any communications file, we're quite happy to do that. So right there with you, yes.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. I believe we're pretty much on the same page. I know North Glengarry, the mayor has requested, don't bother with the website, just call the mayor and he will answer anything that All right, so with that said, I'm going to move to item 11.8, which it will be the last of our administrative update from our CAO Adams. Go ahead, Maureen.
Thank you, Warden Landry. The one thing that I think I just want to highlight and remind everybody is, and Todd had mentioned it, the SDG Summit on June the 3rd. We do have topics that have been defined by each of the townships, so I think it is going to be an excellent day. There will be quite a bit on the AI front, so I think everybody's looking forward to that, and I think all is good. So I think what I would like to do, if the warden would let me speak, I'd like to just make a few comments. I said I wasn't going to get emotional, so I'm not going to. I'll take a deep breath. When I came to SDG, when we had to go through the recruitment process, and there was a media release, Todd gave me a call, and Todd said, Maureen, you're going to love it here. So I'm going to start with that. But through this process, I got to work with 5 wardens. I got to work with Karma Williams through the recruitment process. First year as a CAO was with Warden Fraser. And I think that we had a really, really good year together, both cutting our teeth with the EOWC. And then from there, Warden McDonald. And you can see instantly through the EOWC how well-known Jamie is within that group, highly respected. I think you could think about being chair someday, by the way. And then following that, had the opportunity to work with Warden Lang. And we had a fantastic year, really got to know each other. And then this year, spending a little bit more time with Warden Landry. I know council is thinking about the term of warden, but I would say as a CAO, to have the opportunity to work with everybody for a year is better for the CAO, or I think just a pleasure for me as opposed to a 2-year term. It's just my 2 cents, a little bit selfish. I want to thank council for the trust and the courage and all of the support over the last several years. I tell everybody in the OWC, I have the best council. And without a doubt, you are the best council. You work together, you respect each other, you support each other in the townships, and I think you're fantastic. And I think you can see it across SDG. You make the right decisions for the region, and you don't make decisions in isolation. So the other thing I think I would like to say is you have an incredible team of staff here in SDG. The directors and their departments are committed, professional, and I do believe that everybody really wants to collaborate and work together, not only within this building, but through the townships as well. And so with that, I'm going to tip my hat because we have a fantastic staff. So now I'm going to kind of fast forward to the end. Todd, you're right. I loved it here. This was a fantastic spot for me to kind of wind up my career. And I'm going to tell Jamie, you're going to love it here. I do believe we need to think about maybe putting that in our recruitment logo or slogan. I do tell people through the interview process and recruitment process, I do tell people this is a good place to work, and I believe that everybody will welcome you and you will enjoy working here. So with that, I just want to once again say thank you. It's been my professional pleasure and honor, and this has been a very, very good place for me to kind of wrap up my last few years of my career. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Maureen. I do believe we do have a great team, but it all starts with great leadership in our administration and our staff. So with that said, I'll take this opportunity on behalf of council and staff. I would like to recognize and sincerely thank our retiring CAO for her years of leadership, commitment, and support. Maureen, your professionalism, guidance, and dedication to both council and staff have left a lasting impact on our organization and our communities. We are truly grateful for everything you have contributed throughout your career, and we wish you a retirement filled with adventure, relaxation, happiness, and cherished time with family and friends. So you always will be remembered as an important part of our team and our successes. With that said, I'd like to welcome you to the front, Maureen, for show a brief appreciation. side, which comes from council and staff for your appreciation of everything you've done for us. And with that said, I believe we can move to ratification. Madam Clerk?
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Guédon, that bylaw number 5536, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
All in favor? Motion is carried. And moving to adjournment, please.
It's moved by Councillor Densham, seconded by Councillor Broad, that council adjourn to the call of the chair.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone.